got somebody that can talk to us a little bit about the Buckeyes and their running game, and that's Mo Hall, who we've got with us right now. Maurice, how you doing, man?
Oh man, things are good. How about you?
Hey, I'm doing really good, man. I appreciate you joining us today. It's good to
Absolutely.
see your face, and man, we were just talking about the Buckeyes. I don't know how much you got to see of the game
Yeah,
yesterday, but
the
they got two
blowout.
pretty good running backs, man. What do you think about these guys?
Hey man, yeah, I mean, I was obviously already impressed with Travion Henderson and the things that he's done in the past, man. Such a great running back, great vision, great feet. And then getting Junkins this year, I was like, what is happening? What are we doing? And so I was super excited to see both of them because both of them, the great thing about them, both of them have experience, right? So it's not like one of them is not played. They both played significant amount of high end football, and I think that's going to do nothing but help us, man, from a depth standpoint, like you said, and then hopefully we can do something where we can get both of them in the game at one time consistently to really make some plays because they are playmakers, both of them, like you just said.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, the one question mark we had going, we knew that Judkins was going to run the ball. Travion Henderson, every time he's been healthy,
Right.
has been a home run hitter. And, this offensive line, I think, has gotten better. But our biggest question mark, was what's this quarterback going to look
Yeah.
like in this
Yeah.
offense? I mean, he's had success at Kansas State, but this is a whole nother ball game up here.
Definitely.
What do you think about Will Howard, and what do you think about him so far as a Buckeye?
Well, I think he's done a good job. It's also great that he's had some experience in football versus coming straight off of the bench. Obviously, we've seen how Kyle McCord is doing his thing, and I think I attribute that to the play and experience that he got at Ohio State. So I think Will Howard brings something similar. It's still hard for me to gauge because I mean, we can just be honest. These two teams aren't to the level of the teams we need to play against in order for us to really see what we can really do.
Yeah.
But up to this point, I think he's looked good. He looks good. He's a person who can manage the game. And make great decisions, kind of like you just said, and almost and not hurt us, from that standpoint, and then he can throw as well. He's got an arm on him, and he's got some accuracy. So, I'm looking forward to him continuing to improve and gel within this offense because it is different than, the Kansas State offense that he came from. But I thought he looked good, and they said Craig Krenzel wasn't one of the top running back quarterbacks, and he did exactly what we needed him to do to win every game in that 2002 season. So I think Will Howard is very similar in that aspect.
You know what's funny is I look back at your time with you and Claret and Ross were in the backfield, especially in practice,
Yeah,
to what we're seeing today with when they brought Judkins in is it's Grant Steel always sharpens steel to make everybody better when you bring better competition in,
for sure.
but you still got to balance that locker room aspect because at the end of the day, you wanted the ball, Ross wanted the ball, Claret had wanted the ball. How to
Right.
keep everybody happy in that situation? What was that locker room dynamic that Tressel created to make sure that you guys weren't at each other's throats? Because I mean, yeah, you're teammates, but at the same time, you're competitors at the same breath.
100%. That time was such a interesting time because as a competitor, like all three of us, we Lydell came from Tampa. I'm from Columbus. Reese from Youngstown. So we had already had uber success from a high school standpoint. So you're coming in expecting to be the guy, and then now you're sharing the ball, and some people are getting more, and so it's a hard situation, and you're trying to put everything on the back burner for the team, and I think obviously winning helps that, and so honestly, I couldn't tell you if, in that 2002 season, if we weren't winning, I don't know if I would have been at Ohio State still.
Yeah.
You know what I'm just honestly, because I had my expectations of what I could do and how I could help, and I didn't, get those opportunities as much as I wanted to, you know, and so it was a hard situation. We even had Jaja Riley, if you remember, he was
Yep.
there, and Jaja transferred before the national championship game,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
But he was, he was fed up as well, and so I understand, and I can't even imagine if the transfer portal back then would have been in place, like, who knows what would have happened, so, but I think winning helps it, when you're all have a common goal, you're going towards something, and every little bit helps. It helps to be there to support each other. Obviously, Reese was a great player. Lydell was a great player, and we all were trying to support each other. Although, in the locker room, it's like, man, I need some carries.
Yeah.
And that, whether that's talking to Coach Spencer at the time or talking to Coach Tressel, is trying to figure it out, because at the end of the day, you're still, you're 18, 19 years old, so it's not, we're not in the league where, it's a little different dynamic. We're still kids, and we like, hey, I'm the guy. I am the guy, so
no doubt.
But it was but at the end of the day, it was still fun, and we had a great time, kind of supporting each other, and going 14-0, man. So that was the big thing for us.
Yeah, and that's, when I think back about that team, and when I think back about that 2014 team, which what I'm rocking today, I got a little jersey from the national championship season on here. Those national championship teams, they just had something special. The guys came together. Everyone was looking at the goal. What do you think this team needs to do to become one of those teams that's together, that's focused, that wants to win, and that has, that ultimate goal as the prize?
Yeah, I think they've started well, and I think you have to really, as a team, understand the dynamics, because at the end of the day, Ohio State they're gonna push certain guys, and eventually somebody's gonna get pushed where, right now it's Jeremiah Smith, right? So he's everywhere,
Yes.
So, a person like Abuka, who has definitely proven that he is the guy as well.
Yeah.
It could be very easy for him to lose focus and say, like, I came back and, like, whatever. But I think if everybody kind of just stays focused on the task at hand, which is to win every single game, and do their job, no matter who gets the attention and whatever, because I think that at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I mean, we've got the players, we got the coaches. We just need the guys to really lock in and understand, hey, we're all here for this one thing, regardless of who gets the credit or regardless of how it comes about. This is what we're trying to get done. And I think if they can do that, obviously you got to play well. Will Howard, the defense, everybody up to this point has looked good, so we're really looking for, a challenger to really see how great we are. And, but I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to the players and their mindset of actually working as a team and not just talking about it.
Talk a little bit about your recruiting process. I mean, you grew up in Columbus, played at Brookhaven. I mean, was there a lot of pressure to go to Ohio State? Because, I mean, you've had people like Dominic Jones and Alex Daniels go to Minnesota, June Henley go to Kansas, and Jeff Cumberland go to Illinois. I mean, was there that hard pressure since, one, you're from Ohio, but more importantly, you're from Columbus, and that process that you went through choosing Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, so I was born in Miami, Florida. So growing up, I was a Miami and Florida State fan, right? Yeah. So when even from the first time I started in high school, which was my sophomore year, I sent a personal letter, highlight tape to Florida State, Bobby Bowden, saying, "Hey, I want to come to Florida State." Yeah. That was always my mindset. And then, obviously I knew about Ohio State, and the greats that had come from there, but I honestly didn't know too much about Ohio State until I started getting recruited. Then I started paying attention to them more. Terry Glenn went to my high school. So, I would talk to Terry about it, because he would come back, and run track with us, track practice. But I was all about, Miami and Florida State. And then obviously as my junior year came, I went to visit both of those schools. They both offered me a scholarship. And I'm like, oh man, you know what I mean? But when you're 12 minutes away from the shoe, man, it's and you're getting the kind of exposure that I was getting at that time. I ran for 3,000 yards and all these things, and everybody in Columbus is an Ohio State fan. It becomes very pressurized, where it's like, hey man, like how could you leave the state, like and and obviously a big reason why I did choose Ohio State was my parents. My parents, obviously they had been to every little league, high school game. And, we weren't in financially that position where they were going to be able to really fly to Florida to come see us, so I was like, I want them to see me play. Obviously, Ohio State is an amazing program, and had an opportunity to play with this guy over here, Steve Bellisari, my first year coming in. But it was one of those things where I remember going to signing day and my head coach said, "Hey, Maurice, just so you know, we got the national letter of intent from Florida State and Ohio State. So what are we doing?" And I'm like, all right, this is what I'm going to do, but it was literally a last minute decision because I was so torn, man. But obviously it was a good one.
Yeah. No, Steve, thank you so much for joining us, man. We were just talking to Mo a little bit about, what those Buckeyes teams that won the national championships had. And, we watched them yesterday and things are looking good so far. But give us, Steve, your impression of, where this team is and what they need to do in your eyes to get back to, championship caliber, like the team that Mo was on in 2002 that won every game.
Yeah, I think what we saw last night was that, right? I mean, they looked crisp. They were sound in the run game. I think Will Howard ran the RPO as good as I've seen any quarterback do it. His reads were perfect, and then defense was sound. Outside of the targeting penalty, which I would say was questionable, there's not a lot I would say for the defense that they need to fix or change. Across the board, we looked really, really good last night.
Yeah, I agree. And, I love watching my team win almost more than anything. However, watching a certain team lose yesterday was more fun. And, Mo, you scored the touchdown against Michigan to put us in the title game. And about this rivalry. I want to get your thoughts on, what's gone on up there with all the hoopla around the scandal. And then now, Harbaugh leaving and now them looking rough and getting dog raced by Texas yesterday. What was your thoughts about what's gone on against your old rival? And what do you feel about, the scandal itself and the aftermath of it for the guys that are still playing up there?
Yeah, well, first I will give credit to Texas. Texas is a good team, right? Yeah, like they're legit, and I think Michigan's also a good team, but I think there is a lot going on, with this scandal, and everybody's like, when Sharon realized he was the fall guy, and that's what it looks like, and everybody's trying to, as much as you're trying to like focus and move past that, it's so big right now, and there's such a cloud on the Michigan program as far as the success of what they've done in the past and how that scandal contributed to it. Like, you could take it one of two ways, like, oh, we're going to go prove that we're just as good, or man, were we just as good, and I think that's what we're kind of seeing, a lot of the, they don't have the same players. Obviously, Blake Corum's gone, and, the Harbaugh's gone, he's an amazing coach. You have to give him credit for that. So it's a different scenario, man. And I think they're gonna struggle this year. because it's just so big, and I think it's going to be a hard road for them moving forward. So we'll see, but I definitely I'm not crying for them.
Oh, come on now. We all know that deep down you're hurting for them. It's just, seeing them get boat race yesterday. But well, one question I have for you is, you've had a lot of great players and coaches throughout time who have been an influence on you. What influences have you taken from them? Because, you did play football after you left Ohio State, but now you've transitioned being an actor, director, writer. What type of things have you taken from them to help you professionally today?
Well, I think for me, I think the biggest thing that I learned from football that really correlated to acting and the entertainment industry is perseverance, man. I will say, from that 2002 season where I'm like, yo, I'm the best running back on this team, and didn't get the same opportunities, and being able to persevere through that season and still win, I think that helped me in aspect of, I always tell people, when I moved out here in 2009, I had 89 auditions. So audition is basically like an interview. So I had 89 auditions for TV shows and movies where I got a no. So from 2009 to 2013, I had 89 opportunities to interview and I didn't get any of them. Right. So, if I didn't have the football mindset of understanding that, every football play is designed to be a touchdown, but 90% of the time when we run the plays, somebody doesn't execute like they're supposed to, and it ends up being 2 yards or tackle for loss, or maybe it's a first down. And then eventually, if you keep going, it's going to be there's somebody opens up and it's a touchdown, right? So it's the same kind of thing that I look at from the entertainment industry. You just got to keep doing it. Just got to keep doing it. And eventually you're going to get that opportunity where it's like, oh, snap, I'm on national TV, and it's just, so the persistence aspect of just understanding that you got to keep working hard. You got to keep being great. And eventually you're going to get that opportunity that you want.
Like a lot of collegiate and pro athletes that have gone on into acting. Do you guys have like any kind of like fraternity, or you guys getting together from that aspect at all, or not?
I mean, you definitely see, obviously when there's certain auditions, you're like, oh man, I know all these guys, from football. Especially when I first came here, I was doing a lot of commercials, and, it was a lot of sports type of commercials. So it's like, oh, here are all the actors that are former football players, but I try to stay, meet people, and then, obviously there's a great camaraderie there because we kind of know what we're going through based on, this business and how it correlates to what we did in the football level. So it's a fun environment.
No doubt. And, Ohio State's always had, a history of great coaches. And, right now, Ryan Day's 58-8. Still gets criticized, even though I think he's a tremendous coach. And also, I feel like he cares about the players. Now, you guys both, had coaches that influenced you. And I want to get your thoughts on, do you think what's going on right now with Coach Day kind of giving up the play calling? And Steve, I'm going to go with you first. As far as, bringing in Chip Kelly, do you think that's something that can help this team moving forward? And then Mo, I want to get your thoughts after Steve's done about what you think about what Coach Day has done since he got there. But Steve, what do you think about Coach Kelly, and what do you think about what the coaching side of it has looked like so far with him giving up the play calling?
Well, if you look at the team, right, they have had to figure out how to give up their ego and put the best players on the field. I mean, look at the running back room, look at the receiver room, look at the DB room. You got talented guys that could go play anywhere in the country. But you put your ego aside, right, and focus on what's important. That's what Ryan Day did, right? He took his ego and said, okay, well, how do we get better? And you brought in a coach like Chip Kelly. And there's like a handful of guys that I would say it's art, right? When they start calling plays, it's art. Yeah. You got Andy Reid, Sarkisian's one of them. Chip Kelly's in there, right? go look at the game plan we put together last night and what we did. I mean, we had them out leveraged. We established a run game. We did whatever we wanted. I think at halftime we were averaging 12 yards of play. That doesn't happen on accident. Yeah, we got good athletes, but putting them in the right position and Coach Day recognizing that he can actually do more now because he's given that to Coach Kelly. That's impressive. That's a good sign for a team, right? And what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah. And Mo, just talk to us a little bit about, you are obviously with a championship winning coach. Coach Day has not won the title. I mean, we hear about that every day, but it's not like you can come in and just win the title in your first year, and that's an easy thing to do. What do you think about what he's done so far and the job he's done at Ohio State since coming on board?
Well, I think we've gotten spoiled, right? I think since Coach Tressel, we've been spoiled, because of how great a coach Tressel was, how great of a coach Urban was, that, Coach Day comes in and he has an amazing record and everybody's like, man, it's one of those because, at the end of the day, going to a place like Ohio State, you gotta win. You gotta win the big one. And, Steve would know better than me, but the atmosphere, and I love Coach Cooper, but I don't know if it was the same kind of mentality that we had when Coach Tressel came, and Urban kind of taking it to the next level. Obviously, Urban coming from Florida that had already won a national championship, so he knew what that was anyway. So now we have Coach Day, who is I think he's a great coach. I think kind of like Steve said, the opportunity to give up the play calling to a person like Chip Kelly, who we all know is an offensive genius, is a huge step in the right direction. I think for Coach Day, I think he is feeling some pressure, and I felt like he felt like there was something he had to do because, of what, the last couple years. So I think that definitely attributed to him turning that over, but I think it's going to be for the better for sure. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's dead on, man. There's no other way to put it, right? If you look at the cards you're dealt and the team you have to put people in a position to win. Coach Day's doing that, right? And he's maximizing everything he's getting out of these players and coaches. So the recipe's there. Right now, to your point, Mo, they got to keep that edge to them, right? To win and practice and play at a championship level the whole year, it takes really good focus and dedication, and I think we have that. So, the proof will be when we go out to Oregon and see how we show up that day, right? On the road, prime time, it's going to be a big game.
Yeah. No doubt.
Ohio State.
Exactly. We got about 3 minutes left, fellas, but I want to get a couple more thoughts from you before we get out of here. Steve, we were talking earlier about Will Howard and, what he's looked like so far. And obviously, yesterday was great. First game looked good. What do you think about what he's done so far after taking over? And, what can he be in this offense?
Well, I think what you're seeing is we've been really efficient, right? That's the one thing that I've liked the most about our offense. We're really good on third down. We're averaging close to 5-6 yards of carry on the run. One of my nitpicks after the first game was how do we get the tight end more involved? We did that yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see us become this really well-rounded team, and I think the sky's the limit with what Will can do. Timing on throws, everything looks good, right? I mean, we haven't seen a lot of people get too much pressure because we've been able to handle it, but that'll be the true test, right? When we start getting in zero covers and blitzing, and they're going to have to mix this up and see what they can do to cover one-on-one with our right receivers. And I don't know, I like our odds.
Yeah, I do too. And Mo, what do you think it's going to take for this team to gel together and become, a championship level team? What is it picking up a big, win on the road? Is it just, everybody giving it all for the, giving up the selflessness to become, just a championship team? What do you think they have to do to get to where you guys were at in 2002?
Well, I think it is going to take time, right? So I think as they continue to play, they're going to see things that they can improve on individually. And it's going to come down to everyone saying, oh, I see this thing I can improve on. I'm going to do that work. I'm going to put in that work from week to week. So when we do go to Oregon, which is going to be a hostile environment, which is going to be everything that we want it to be to really see how good we actually are. And it's going to be up to us to really perform to that level. And I think as we continue to do that, obviously, in 2002, we had about 8 out of the 14 games were like this. We're super close that necessarily shouldn't have been, but there we had that one thing I think that all the players focused on, which was trying to improve week to week. And those small things, I think, at the end of the game really helped us, and cause a turnover, get an interception or a sack or make a big play. Like all those things played a part, starting from week one. And I think we're on the right path for that. We're showing great. And then we have good depth. Our depth is on point. So I think that's going to, a long season, especially this playoff now where we're talking about a 12-team playoff, like depth is going to come into be a huge factor. And I think that's going to separate us from the other teams when, we take a step back and our second person is just as good.
Yeah.
And so I think that's gonna be it, man.
No, I love that point, Mo, because that's, some of these teams, they're doing all right now, but they have that one guy get down,
right.
Like Colorado last year when Hunter got hurt, and some of these other teams that their quarterback
Florida State
go down.
Exactly.
Over. Yeah, when their quarterback went down at Florida State, it was over. And that's going to be the case for a lot of these teams. But Ohio State's got good depth and has a lot of solid position rooms with multiple guys that can play. So, and that was one of the things with that 2002 team, man. They were deep, and you guys had a lot of guys that could get it done. So
absolutely.
I appreciate you guys so much for coming on today, Mo. It was great to talk to you and see you again.
Thanks, man.
And I appreciate you jumping on with us, and hopefully we can talk to you again down the road as we're marching to the title.
That's absolutely. Let's do it.
All right,
it's good to see you, Mo. I'm glad to have you have as much gray as me now. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, I know. It's crazy out here, man. We're in LA, so, this is my early morning, so you won't see me outside like this. I got to color this in.
It's better than the alternative, right?
Fair enough.
All right, guys. Well, anybody, if you missed the show or anything, we're replaying at Roku TV on Streaming Sports Network at 3:00. And once again, this is Man Coverage. We got Mo Hall and Steve Bellisari joining us today. Fellas, thank you so much. And hopefully we can bring you back on some other time and talk a little more ball.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, man.